200 million people of African descent in the Americas, 40 million of whom live in my country, the United States.
Well, we all know the United States is a corporation. It is not a country, and we can thank Allen West, who used to be in the military, and he was representative in Florida, and he said that the president is a CEO of this corporation called the United States of America. So whoever wrote the script for Mr. Glover, they clearly didn't do their fact-finding. Next.
To insist that our national and multilateral policymakers ensure that specific policies are targeted to work with and in support of people of African descent. The 3 UN themes: respect, justice, development.
No, that's incorrect. It is not respect. It is recognition, justice, and development. Now, he's a UN Goodwill ambassador. I'm not blaming Danny Glover, but I am saying there has to be some liability to how he could come and say that, who gave him the script. And if you go to their website, this is the General Assembly proclamation of the International Decade for People of African Descent. And when we go down, we're going to see the theme. I thought it was, hold on, the first, nope, that wasn't it, xenophobia, okay. When we go down to the second page, we're going to see, let's see, calls, requests, the theme for it, okay, so we go to here, right on page, the first page, it's right on the first page of the program of activities. With the theme, People of African Descent, Recognition, Justice, and Development. This is recalling its resolution 68-237 of the 23rd of December 2013, by which it proclaimed the International Decade for People of African Descent, commencing on the 1st of January 2015 and ending on the 31st, 2024, with the theme, People of African Descent, Recognition, Justice, and Development. So that is incorrect to have that there. So that's another terrible mistake. Unacceptable.
Must be utilized as an interrelated guide to collaborate with peoples of African descent, helping to guarantee mid to long-term successes and gains for all of society.
That's not for all of society. It's supposed to be for what? People of African descent. This is what it says right here on the UN website. Program of activities for the implementation of the International Decade for People of African Descent, to be officially launched immediately following the general debate of the 69th session of the General Assembly, and to this end emphasizing the opportunity for achieving important synergy in the combating of all the scourges of racism through the effective observance of the decade, and in this regard contributing to the implementation of the Durban Declaration and Program of Action. So let's go back to this video again.
People of African descent must be invited to utilize their own imaginations, talents, and creativity to be welcomed by all sectors of our nations as fully equal participating citizens.
You want to comment?
We did that by putting our complaints in with the UN. We used our creativity.
Okay, yes. Comments. And so now citizen falls under Rome. Mm-hmm. That means one is a slave of Rome, mm-hmm. which goes back to who? The Vatican. So when they talk about creativity and be productive citizens, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, in Article 3 clearly states Indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination.
Correct.
The original Native Americans are us. That's a fact. Some Native Americans are going to be upset about that. Hey, go to the geneticists, and if they say that your DNA and blood type comes from Russia or Asia, then you're not indigenous to here. You might have the land, the government may have contracted with you, but you do not have you are not indigenous in the true sense of the word. There's a difference between Native American and American Indian. Let's continue.
Racial discrimination, public and official violence illustrates the ultimate disrespect against people. We have a moral imperative to stand, demand, and show what respect means beyond color.
Wrong. See, here we go again. They keep using the word respect. The legal definition of respect means to delay. If you look in an etymology dictionary or you look in a Oxford, it'll tell you respect means to what? Look. So this again is not in compliance with the UN International Decade for People of African Descent or the program of activities.
For words and formal declarations, mass incarceration, lack of access to education, to employment, to healthcare, and to political decision-making categorize the fundamental injustices, all too characteristic of the treatment of peoples of African descent in America and throughout the world.
But there's one problem. Nobody wants to say the fact that black has no standing at law. So the question to be asked to the UN as well as to Danny Glover and whoever else, do blacks have standing at law? Are blacks human beings? Are African Americans human beings? We already know the answer to that based on the definitions legally as well as commercially. No. So they're not entitled to rights, privileges, they're not entitled to immunities, they're not entitled to constitutional rights, and as we already know, the Constitution in the United States of America, quote unquote, is what? A dead document. So let's come back and figure. That's why we have to go through this. Absakata Nation, we're the only ones who are contesting this.
Color and color-coded poverty is a shameful, unacceptable scourge that decimates the lives of thousands of children, women, and men of African descent because they do not have equal access to development opportunities and are marginalized or completely left out of the development policies that benefit, stabilize, and allows other sectors of society to grow and to develop.
Okay, well, let's be for real. Black has no standing at law. If you're a Caucasian in the West, they will allow you to grow and to flourish. If you're black, you have no standing at law. So says the U.S. Department of Education. Clearly, that has not been explained to Danny Glover. Clearly, that whoever wrote this script for him that he's reading off the teleprompter has not told him this. And clearly, if they do know this, they are complicit in what? Genocide, apartheid, rape, violating the UN Charter, violating the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and violating the UN Charter as regards to Article 55-56, as well as the UN Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights Convention. Let's continue.
Therefore, in my role as a citizen artist of the United States of America and as a UN ambassador of
The United States is a corporation.
goodwill for the International Decade of Peoples of African Descent, I implore policy leaders, policy makers, and fellow global citizens from all backgrounds to do the right thing and act, not just talk, debate, and issue formal declarations.
They've already done this. This is what the declaration was for. I know we're going a little long this week, but it's worth it. They already have it in place. The problem is black has no standing at law. So as far as this is going, this is game they're playing with peoples of African descent. Let's continue.
People of African descent and other needy sectors of our nations are frustrated, impatient, and demanding that we collaborate with them to improve their lives and their citizenship.
No, go on.
Other needy sectors?
Now, the needy sectors, who could that be? The only ones it could be is the corporations and those who would be considered quote-unquote Caucasian. They're the ones that get the benefits. However, they know the deal. Black has no standing at law. Barack Obama told The Secret that black has no standing at law. So as such, this again is game. All the conventions are already there. They don't need to draft more international legislation to do this when it's already present. What they do have to do, and they are obligated to do, the UN Working Group of Experts on People of African Descent, the United Nations, the UN Office of the High Commission on Human Rights, you have a responsibility to tell the black people that it is incorrect. They are to call themselves white and American Indian / Native American. Barring that, you are not helping them. You are actually contributing and are willing participant in the genocide. Let's continue.
On March 29th, I addressed the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C. about the topic, reparatory justice, an imperative for moral and democratic development. Connected to that theme, I discussed the UN International Decade of Peoples of African Descent. The Secretary General of the OAS and many countries in Americas, among them St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil spoke afterwards in unqualified support for reparatory justice policies. In stark contrast, Afro-descended citizens of the United States are still demanding that the United States...
Okay, yes, there are no Afro-descendant citizens of the United States. Let's get this straight. Dred Scott said, no descendant of Africans can be a citizen of the United States of America. The Constitution, when it was framed, did not consider them in mind. This is Justice Taney's dissenting argument. His decision rather, and in 1857 that case occurred. It has not been overturned, and thankfully Justice Scalia, before he was assassinated, told the truth that the Constitution is a dead document. So black people are in dead water. Nobody on the planet has to listen to them. So the UN and the working group, as well, I granted that Danny Glover is an ambassador. I like Predator too, but the fact is, this is unacceptable. This is not telling black people the truth that they will never get any kind of international protections or domestic protections as long as they keep calling themselves black. This is an outright lie. And I welcome the UN to contact me if they feel a grievance. You have my email, but I'll give you my phone number, 1-587-712-0639. Let's continue. Just about done.
Its government support Congressman John Conyers' House of Representatives Bill 891, which calls for a reparations study commission.
Listen, this is another game. Black people, you're not getting no reparations. You have no standing at law, no reparations, and I'm for it. Black people should not get reparations because you're not considered human under international law or in accord with international law, and you are not considered being able to have any kind of rights. So that's it, black people, African Americans, African Canadians, African whatever in the West, you are not entitled to anything. This is game they're playing with you all. Let's continue.
I call upon the representatives of the United States of America to join fully with other countries in leading the implementation of this decade. Our citizens are watching.
Citizen, again, is chattel property. Black is code word for slave. Citizen is code word for commercial slave. So let's stop already. Stop lying. UN, stop lying to the black people, not only in the West, but Africans and descendants of Africans the world over. We know you're not going to give them a penny because black has no standing at law.
Demanding that you do so. We all must increase our work to ensure the organization of an international forum, which was not done in 2015 and does not appear to be on the docket for 2016, to focus and coordinate regional action for respect, justice.
See, he keeps saying it wrong again. We've already shown you. So the UN should fit, when they see this video, they should realize we're sharing this with other people. They're going to get the emails and they're going to realize they're being scammed by the United Nations, i.e. the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Clintons, all of them are scamming. This is all genocide. This is all rape, apartheid. We're looking at it right in front.